Hello, good afternoon. It's Wednesday, April 30th, close to 7 o'clock at night. Welcome to my new channel, ETF Inspector. I will be mostly focused on YieldMax option income strategy funds, and then I will also just show you what I'm doing. I have a wheel, I have a few dividend stocks, and then I have a couple of poor man covered calls strategies that I'm doing. I am aware that this is similar to another YouTuber, Retire on Dividends. I'm a huge fan, I'm a subscriber, and I won't be covering any of the funds that he covers so as not to even attempt to take anything from him. But I've noticed that there are people who are looking to get the same kind of coverage on some of the, I wouldn't say lesser known funds, but the ones with lesser assets. So this is fun to me, and I thought I'd give it a try. So sorry, this is my first time ever creating a YouTube video, so I promise it'll only get better from here. So we'll just start out today. The funds that I will be covering as of right now are AMDY, AMZY, APLY, FBY, GOOY, MSFO NFLY, and then I'll just also update with whatever the weeklies do, not the individual trades. So to start out, there were no trades in any of these funds yesterday, and again today, with the exception of AMDY. And the only thing that happened there, as you can see, it looks like somebody or some people sold out of the fund, so they had to close out part of the synthetic and then also close out the calls that they had sold against it and the insurance policy as well. So that will be updated before the next one. So these were the holdings prior to that. They are part of Group C, which declared today. So anybody looking for AMDY, the distribution today came out to be 0.3365, or a little over 33 cents per share, which annualized comes out to almost 62%. Based on the stock price, it closed today at $7.06, and the underlying AMD closed at $97.35. So if you just take a quick look at their synthetic, they have a 95 call, and it's at 97.35. So they are about 2.5% in the money. And again, messed that up. They have a put that is 2.5% out of the money. So as of right now, if it ended that way, these would expire worthless, and they'd get to keep all the premium that they collected for it. And the call that they purchased is up a little over $2. So depending on when they close that out, they could end up making money on that, but as of right now, they paid over $6 a share for that. So if they wait too close to the expiration date and it stays the same, it could end up being worth less. When you look at their weekly, they sold the calls for $98 and $99. Both are currently out of the money, but just barely, less than 1% and a little under 2%. And then these are basically what you would call insurance policies. They bought a call at 106 and a call at 107 just in case the stock were to rise well beyond their call to cap the amount they would lose. All right, so that's AMDY. I'm just going in alphabetical order. As far as AMZY, they're part of Group D. They had no trades today. Their next declaration is in 7 days. It's stock price for AMZY is at $15.23, and Amazon is at $184.42. Their synthetic for the 16th is currently it's in trouble, right? So they sold a put at $190 and then sitting at $184, and then same thing, they bought a call at $190. So they're losing money on the synthetic, and then they sold calls at $197 with a insurance policy at $215. Looks like they're going to be able to keep most of that money, but the money they make on that weekly is not going to offset the money lost overall. Since I'm starting out today, right, I don't have all the rest of the weeklies to be able to tell you how they did overall, but I'll just keep on going forward, and by the time next month rolls around, I'll have had all their transactions and be able to have a better feel for it. They have $237 million under management in this fund, and the NAV price, as you can see, $15.40 compared to the current price, $15.23, so it's not too far off. Next is APLY, also part of Group D. Their next declaration is May 7th as well. Apple is sitting at $212.50 as of the close today, and APLY at $14.25. Their synthetic is at $185, so they're doing very well. They only paid 90 cents, or no, they sold these puts for 90 cents, so they'll be getting to keep most, if not all of that, unless there's something drastic happens. And they bought these calls for $185, so at $212, they're doing well. They're 12% in the money. They sold calls this week for $215, so they're getting close. As of right now, if it expired, it would expire worthless if the stock price stayed the same, but there's still 2 trading days left. But they're making money, and they have a small insurance policy against that. FBY, which follows Meta, is part of Group B. They just declared last week, so I must have messed something up there. I'll check back on that declaration date. I'll fix it on the next one. Either B or D, one of these two is wrong. Either way, it's not the one that declared today, so I'll get it fixed before the next video. Meta's at $549 as of the close today, and FBY is at $14.48. They have $237 million under management in this fund. Their synthetic is at $585 per share, and so that's obviously not doing too well with a stock price at $5.49. So they are losing money big time on the synthetic. The good news will be for the weeklies, these calls, all the calls that they sold are well above the stock price right now. So these will probably be able to be closed out pretty cheap, and they'll be wins. Going over to GOOY, part of Group A. Again, something must have happened with all the copy and pasting for everything to keep saying declaration date is 5/7. So apologize. First day mistakes, I will get them fixed. Okay, they last went on 4/16, so it'll be 4 weeks after that date. Stock is sitting at, or the fund is sitting at $12.16, and GOOGL is at $158.80. The synthetic, just a single one again, almost 7,000 contracts, each contract being worth 100 shares, right? We're at 150, so they're doing well, right? Their calls have gone up in value, and their puts are set to expire worthless, and they will get to keep all that money if it were to stay the way it is now, but we know that things change every day. There's $107 million, almost $108 million under management in this fund. And they just have one single call at 165 for the week. So as long as Google doesn't go up another 3.9% before Friday, these should expire worthless. They'll most likely close them out before that at a fraction of what they sold them for, and get to keep the difference. Next is Microsoft. It looks like this one at least worked correctly. This was part of Group C. They declared today 52 cents, a little over 52 cents, 0.5255. Annualized comes out to over 42% a year. Microsoft is at $3.95.26 at the close, and MSFO is at $16.23. They have $108 million under management in this fund. The synthetic's at 370, so they're doing well. They're making money on the synthetic. It's nearly 6.5% in their favor. And they sold a call at 400 with an insurance, a bought call at 415. So that's currently in their favor, but it's only 1.2% away from becoming trouble. And another one at 405 with a bought call at 425. And that one's at about 2.5% in their favor, out of the money right now. Last one we're covering, NFLY, another Group C. So they had declaration today. This was an increased distribution, I believe, from the last one. 92, almost 92.5 cents per share. Annualized out to 63.82%. Netflix closed at $11.31.72, and NFLY at $18.80. They have a synthetic at 905, so that is doing very well. That almost looks like a typo. I can't imagine. These are copied and pasted straight from the holdings page. I can't imagine that they paid $224 per contract to buy a 905, but it's possible. Even so, that would come out to $11.29, so the stock's at $11.31. So even if maybe that is true, they wanted to go deep in the money, but it's working out. So that's 20% in the money, but the stock's actually even higher than that, so they're making money on that. They've sold a call at $11.90, 1,160 options, and then they bought 2 insurance policies. That doesn't make sense. 11.20. Nah, I got it backwards. I'm sorry. They sold calls at 11.20 and 11.30, and they bought a call as insurance at 11.90. So the 11.20 is currently 1% in the money, but it expires in 2 days. They got $18.75 to sell that, and being that it's $11 in the money, they might be okay. The 11.30 is only $1 in the money. They sold it for $13.47, so they're probably still winning that one at this point too. As you can see, these are smaller amounts. Obviously, they're not even making multi-million-dollar trades at a time, but maybe that's why not as many people are into these funds. But they have $132 million under management in this fund. All right, quickly, one last thing. So the weeklies, for some reason, although today's declaration date for them, the majority of them did not put any information out. So the only ones that did were LFGY with a 0.4721 cent per share, and YieldMax, YieldMax with a 0.1744, a little over 17 cents. So I personally don't hold any of those shares. I have some YMAG, and then I have some of the other ones in some of the other groups, but I'm not going to be covering them because Retire on Dividends does. Next, I just want to show you what I have going on. I only have one wheel strategy going on. It's been going since January 30th on IONQ. I'm currently sitting on 200 shares. You can see in the status here, these two are open. I have 2 covered calls sold, expiring May 9th with a strike of $30. I don't have it updated right on here right now, but they were in the $28 range, so these are in my favor currently. I'm glad that I rolled them up and out as far as I did. As you can see, the last ones were $25.50 and $28.50, and IONQ has threatened the 30 mark a couple times since then. So big picture, I started out selling cash secured puts and got assigned IONQ at $39 and $35. So my cost average, I've got 200 shares at $7,400 total spent for that, but because of selling calls and puts all along the way, my current cost basis for the 200 shares is $5,665. So I'm a little over $28 per share as my cost basis. So I'm doing pretty well on that stock. If anybody follows them, they took a pretty big hit, dropped all the way down to like 17 or 18, and have been making a little bit of a comeback. All right. Then I also like to hold some shares for dividends. I've been into USOI for a long time. Currently they are not helping me because the price of oil has been dropping with everything going on in the world. But I'm not going to sit here and bore you with tons of this. So I have USOI at 100 shares, YMAG at 200, MSTY, that's everyone's favorite, MSTY 100 shares, CLM 200 shares, and ULTY, that's another YieldMax fund, 200 shares. So for this month, I have received the dividends or the distributions for each of these, and they brought in roughly $389, almost $400 on approximately $13,000 invested. I am losing money on capital gains, but that's okay. We bought these for their income. 3 of these pay monthly, and the other 2, YMAG and ULTI, pay weekly. So I just kind of keep track of that over here, month by month, stock or fund by fund, and then the weeklies, I just have an extra section so it totals up all the weeklies to feed each of these charts. Now, I also got a little greedy and wanted to make a little more with MSTY after the last distribution. So when the fund was at $19.75, I sold a call for a strike at 23, and if anybody follows MSTY, they're sitting up over 24. So I am possibly, with expiration on Friday, this fund doesn't roll very well, so it's looking like I'm probably going to get these called away, and if I do, then I will just sell a put and try to get back in, because I like the fund, I like the distributions. All right, and then finally, I have a couple of leaps combined to make a poor man's covered call. If you don't know what that is, you basically buy a deep in the money call that is long term. For Intel on this one, for example, I bought one for January of 2026 with a strike price at 15 when the stock was actually at 22. And then from there, it allows you to sell calls. So now I can sell calls after putting up only $1,500 collateral rather than having to use $2,200, almost $2,300 to buy 100 shares of the stock. So then I just sell calls against that, and the goal is to sell the calls, make back the premium that you paid or a large portion of it, and then at the same time, the leap mimics owning the stock. It's kind of similar to a synthetic. So as the stock goes up and down, your leap will go up and down almost one for one. So if Intel ends up over the next year, then this leap will be just as valuable at the end. And then just in case it goes down, I've got all these months to sell calls off of it. The goal is to sell roughly 1 month. See, on the 3rd of April, I sold on May 2nd. I ended up closing that out pretty cheap. I got the chance for 1 cent, so I sold another one, again, almost a month out. Similarly, I did the same thing with APLD. This is actually a cheaper stock. This one was just having a little bit of fun. It only was a $5 to $6 stock at the time. It's gotten much worse since then, but since I bought such a deep in the money call, right, $2, I can continue to sell calls against it even as the price drops lower and lower, where sometimes that's harder if you just have the shares or if you are in a wheel because you don't want to sell for a loss. So I sell them pretty far out of the money. You see 20%, 49%. I don't want these assigned. I want to be able to sell calls for, this one goes all the way out to 2027, and I want to sell a whole lot of calls between now and then against this one. Finally, same thing, one more leap, poor man's covered call on SoFi, SOFI. This one's actually doing pretty well for me. I'm actually up already. I could just close this out. I could sell the original call that I bought at a profit and be done. But again, I've got all the way till 2027, so the goal is to just keep on selling calls for almost 2 years. I think that's everything I have. If you stuck around this long, I really appreciate it. I'm sorry for the the rust. I'm gonna need to get a little bit better at this, and I'd appreciate it if you come back. I'm gonna try and keep making these videos and putting them out, and if there's funds or anything more within this that anybody would like to see, please let me know. Thank you.